All right, my angels, we are at episode 28. Who the hell did I marry? So last we left off, Richie has called me and Talkies is there glaring at me thinking like, I cannot believe this Korean prince is back in your life. Have you been talking to me the whole time? He starts thinking that I like went back to him after all this and I've been scheming. And I'm like, first of all, brother, it is none of your business. Second of all, like, fuck off, and I'm gonna go and talk to this K-pop star. So Talkies fucks off and I go back to my apartment. I walk up the stairs. I'm feeling kind of nervous. I'm like, wow, Richie, I mean, he was such a heartthrob and he was so good to me and he was just like the sweetest man ever, but he just has a problematic career choice and a path that he's chosen in his life. But it was like really giving like hot gangster boy and kind of like all those little episode games that you play where you're like, I fell in love with like the gangster guy and he's a bad boy, but he's the mob boss and he's only nice to me and he's kind of mean to everyone else. Like it was just giving very Wattpad vibes. So I go upstairs and I shut the door and I'm sitting on my couch and I'm like kind of petting my dogs and I just call him back. And immediately, y'all, when he answered the phone, first of all, I didn't get to tell y'all, he had the smoothest, kind of like a little bit of a hood voice, very, very sexy. And we all know that I'm a voice girly. The timbre was timbering. And he just answers the phone and he goes, hey, mommy. I melted. I was just like, ooh, this man. I'm like, how are you? And he's like, how are you? I'm like, well, and he goes, my ears have been burning. Like, I've been hearing some things. I'm like, what you been hearing about? He's like, I've been hearing around town that you're a newly single Pringle. I'm like, who is telling you this? Like, we don't have the same friends. And he's like, I have my sources. I'm like, okay. Which leads me to believe that actually I was thinking about it now and he had been like keeping tabs on me, which made sense. Like, I would not be surprised if this man had someone tailing me at some points in my life, like after we had stopped talking, because of the fact that he was just that connected and that type of guy. And he just really, really cared deeply. So he was like, I was thinking about you. And I also wanted to let you know, so there was this little Tokyo shaved ice shop that we would always go to all the time that we loved, and we knew the workers and they knew us, and it was just like a very fun time that we'd always go to. And he was like, hey, our little shop closed. And I was like, no, are you serious? He was like, they'd been having some trouble financially. He's like, I even went there and had lent them some money and I was trying to help them out, but they did end up closing and the owner's been back to Japan. I'm like, this man, he is a philanthropist for the people, even though this money is fueled by very sketchy activities. You know what? At least he's a man of the people. I'm like, oh no, that's so sad. He's like, yeah. He's like, what are you doing tonight? I'm like, oh, I actually have this event to go to for this clothing brand that I model for, and then I'm free after that. And he was like, great, can we meet up for a drink? I'm like, absolutely. So I go to my little event first. It was in WeHo, and I was wearing my hair snatched back. I wore a kind of 3/4 length sleeve, low cut shirt with a little short dress and boots. And I was at the event, and then he was telling me he was going to pick me up after I was done. I go to the event, I go, I schmooze, I get some free clothes, all that stuff. I meet some people, call him up. I'm like, okay, I'm ready to go. He picks me up. I'm over on Melrose. He comes and picks me up in his matte black on black BMW. And as soon as he walks out of the door, y'all, I just could not stop smiling. I mean, this boy literally looked like a K-pop star. He was wearing a short sleeve Burberry shirt. It's like the one that a lot of the guys wear that's kind of like long and it's got like the waffly sort of material, but then obviously like the typical Burberry thing, baggy ass jeans and some Timberlands. And he was looking good. He also had cut his hair differently to where it was like shorter on the sides and it was longer on top. And he opens the door and he just kind of leans up in the car and I walk out of the event and I'm looking at him and he was like a fine wine. I was like, oh boy, you should have. He opens the door for me. I hop in. He gives me a kiss on the cheek and we roll over to Isabel in Hollywood. Now, Isabel is a restaurant and a bar. It's a spot that's like still open now and it's just your typical Hollywood spot. It hadn't been open for that long after that. I think it had been only open for a few years, but it was very Hollywood, blah, 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 blah. So we're sitting there and they have all these cute little lights and a tree outside and we're sitting there and he's like, are you hungry? I was like, I could get some bites. We get some fries and some like little wings or whatever. And I get my typical vodka martini and he gets a whiskey. So we're sitting there and he's like, I gotta tell you, you know, breakup looks good on you. I'm like, oh yeah, you think so? He's like, yeah, I think so. And he's like, do you think breakup looks good on me? I'm like, what do you mean? Were you in a relationship? And he was like, yeah, I was dating this girl for like a few months, but you know, it didn't work out. I'm like, oh yeah, tell me about it. He goes, well, she's Korean. I was like, oh, I'm sure your mom loved that. And he was like, no, my mom actually hated her. I'm like, why? And he was like, all she cared about was my money. And all she wanted to do was just like go shopping and use my card and just go to the spas, but she didn't even really want to hang out with me. I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah. And she like was pressuring me that she wanted to have kids like next year. So it just didn't work out. I'm like, oh, I'm really sorry about that. He's like, whatever. She was boring. I'm like, okay. So we're just catching up and I'm kind of giving him the lowdown on the situation with Talkies. And he's like, look, at the end of the day, all I care about is your well-being. And I just care that you're happy. So if there's anything that I can do to help you, like at all, he was like, don't rely on him. Like, let me pay for your moving expenses. Let me help you move. Let me help you find a place. I was like, look, I really appreciate that. But he should pay because he is responsible and he is the party that cheated in this marriage. So if he won't pay, then yes, I will let you help me out. But if he is going to pay, I would like to make him take care of it. And he was like, absolutely. He's like, well, anything that you need, let me know. And he's like, where have you been looking? I'm like, oh, I've been looking at different places. I really want to stay in Hollywood. And he was like, okay, well, I have a guy that helps me find my places because he had this really beautiful condo up in K-Town, and then he had a couple other properties. He's like, if you want me to get him to help you, let me know. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm like totally fine doing it myself, but if I do need help, I'll let you know. So we're chatting. It's just a good time. And I looked down at my phone and Shane has been texting me. And he's like asking what I'm doing and stuff, but I'm kind of not really responding because me and Richie are just having a really good time. We take some shots and then it's time to go. We walk out and we get in his car and he takes me back to my place. Now, I never really plan the way that things are going to happen, y'all. I'm a very go with the flow. Let's see what happens. You know, I'm never like, I am not going to sleep with this person before, or like, I really am. Like, I always go into it with, how do I feel? What is my instincts? Trusting myself. I guarantee you, if you trust yourself and you go into things without expectations and you just kind of go with things the way that they are and how they unfold and just see and just roll with the punches, life is a lot more interesting. And it's why I have so much lore. So we're standing outside the front. There's like the outside gate door, right? That's clear. He parked his car out front and he's standing there and he just like leans down and just like gives me a kiss on the head. And then I look up at him and I'm like, I need to make out with this man. So we start kissing and I'm like, you know what? Let's invite this man up. Like, he has been good to me. Let's not think about his shady past for now because that has nothing to do with me at this point. Like, let's invite him up because you know what? Mama has been ignoring her needs and she needs to get some needs met. So we go upstairs, we go inside, he greets my dogs, and we have a great night. Like, he is definitely a very, very gentle, wonderful man. That is the type that is like, he looks mean on the outside, but really he's just so soft and sweet. And the swagger is 3,000. So we fall asleep and I actually let him spend the night because I was like, whatever, I feel safe with this man. The next day rolls around. I wake up, the sun is shining in my eye, crack of my eye. I wake up, my dog's licking me. I'm like looking, I'm like, where is he? I hear him like laughing in the living room and he has the TV on. I walk out. He's cooking, y'all, a French omelet. Like, this rich illicit activities man can cook a French ass omelet. I'm like, okay. He's like, oh, I hope that you like butter and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, who doesn't like butter? And he made this delightful, the Bear-esque omelet with an arugula salad. I didn't even know I had all these things in my house, y'all. I actually, now that I think about it, he might have left and gone and got groceries and then came back and I was still sleeping because it was like 10 a.m. and the man was already like fully awake and had been going about his day. And he was like on a phone call with like some business associate doing, you know, his business dealings. And I look and he's also has fed my dogs. Like, I know we're all rooting for Richie. I know we are. I know. I get it. He's very dreamy. He makes me the omelet. I look at my phone because I get another text from Shane. Now, Shane had texted me the night before, but I hadn't texted him back. And also Takis had texted me and was like, have you made any other decisions about the contract? Also, have you talked to the media or blah, blah, blah. I'm like, Takis, go away. I am busy in my lover girl era, okay, because I have been ignored for many, many months now. And I am time to get loved up on and get the attention that I need. I look and on my text messages, Shane says, hey, I'm outside with coffee. Are you awake? I'm like, what? I look, it was like 5 minutes ago. I'm like, shit. Now, as a reminder, the way that my apartment is shaped, there is the big living room inside. There is an outside patio that looks onto the Main Street Las Palmas that is off of Hollywood Boulevard. There is another window in the bedroom that also looks down there. If you go up into the loft area, the roof on top, you can look over and it's the same street. And this is the same street that you drive up to get into the gated garage. The entrance of the entire building, so gated garage here, the entrance to the entire building is here. Now, you can see who's standing at the front if you go on the rooftop. Or if they kind of round the corner and they walk over here, you can see them over here. I'm like, shit, is he standing at the gate, which is the entrance here, or is he standing at the front, which is the entrance over here? Because if he's standing over here, then I would be able to see him from here. If he's standing over here, I'd be able to see him from the rooftop. But either way, it's not good because I'm in the house with Richie and like, even though Shane is not my man and Richie is not my man, still it puts me in an awkward situation, right? And also, we know that Richie is into some activities that could really make people disappear. So I don't know how he reacts in situations like this, okay? I text him back and I'm like, oh, I'm actually not home. And he's like, oh, bummer. I thought that you would be here right now because I thought with your schedule, you said you're going to be home because I have a cold brew for you. I'm like, oh, that's really sweet of you, but like, I'm not home. I'll be home later. As I'm doing this, okay, here's the kitchen. I'm sitting here texting. The patio is here. Sweet Richie is in here cooking. I see him walk over here and walk towards the balcony, towards the no man's land where he might see Shane. And I'm like, oh, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, I'm just going to open the screen door to let the air out so that way the smell isn't there. If he does that, his voice will travel, and definitely wherever Shane is standing from this side or this side, he will hear us. I'm like, oh, I run, and I just like put myself in front of him, and I'm like, you just look so sexy when you cook. And he's like, oh yeah? I'm like, yeah. I literally like push him from the area and kiss him towards the kitchen, and I just kind of like back him up against the wall next to the food, and I'm like, it is very hot, a man that cooks and also can protect me. He forgets all about that window, y'all. Honestly, girls, we can always use our charms to distract the men. We eat, he eats, I eat, we all eat. After that, I'm like texting with Shane, and he's like, okay, well, I'm gonna head home now. And as soon as I know the coast is clear, and Richie's like, okay, I gotta go. I gotta like do some work stuff. I'm like, great. I send the Korean prince on his way. He leaves. He says that we're gonna chat later. I'm like, great. Now, all the men have left my building at this point, right? But who knows? Talkies might show up. We'll see. I'm like, so I need to figure out now, it's time to do business. We had our fun, we had our playtime, we had our lovely, lovely breakfast with our beautiful Korean man, but now we need to do some business. So I call Maddie. Now remember, Maddie is living in Miami right now. And Takis has told me the day before that he is moving to Miami. So I'm like, I need to find out some information because I know that I'm not gonna be able to find information from Takis. But Maddie's man runs nightlife in Miami and they're still friends. So they probably know what's going on. Now, Maddie had been very busy with her move and her children and stuff. So her and I had been catching up, but she didn't know all the tea, like, and wasn't super up to breast of all the things and the happenings in my life. I jump on the call with her. I'm like, girly pop. And she's like, hey, bitch. I'm like, what's up? She's telling me that she's just getting settled into her condo. The kids are doing well. Her man is doing well in his new global position in Miami. And she's like, what's going on with you? I give her the tea, the rundown quickly. She's like, I'm so happy, girl, that you're finally, you know, getting them loins done and someone's taking care of you. What's going on with Takis? And I'm like, did you hear that he's going to be moving to Miami? And she was like, I did hear that that was the rumblings. I'm like, I feel like you know more than me. So what's the deal? And she goes, okay, this is what I know. So Takis had called her man weeks before and was like trying really hard to see if her man D could get him a job at one of the restaurants that he ran, because D was the global beverage director or the global manager or something like that, a very high up position running a lot of the nightlife in Miami and restaurants. So he definitely was like the dude to know when it came to there. Apparently D told him that he didn't have any openings, but he did actually set him up with a couple of meetings of other people and associates that he knew that were in the area that were hiring. Now, this company, the specific one that Takis was saying that he was going to get hired for, has a branch in LA. Okay, they have branches in a few different cities. So apparently Takis had gone to interview at the one in LA. They were like, we don't have any hiring here, but if you'd be willing to move to Miami, we would consider taking you there. So this worked out for him because apparently he was able to finagle it to where this Miami office did not catch wind of what he did and his finaglings that he did in LA. So apparently there was no overlap in the people that knew each other, and he was able to get away scotch-free with all his indiscretions that he had, and they were accepting of him because this was a restaurant that had some Greek community people as well. And so they were like, we're Greek, you're Greek, oh, it's just what we do, so we'll accept you. She's like, what I know is he hasn't quite gotten the job yet, but he's in the final talks. He's like currently negotiating his salary, but it is looking like he's probably going to go there or to the location in New York. I'm like, he's only telling Miami. She's like, yeah, well, apparently he was telling Dee that Miami is the one that he prefers to go to because he's always wanted to live there. And that made sense to me because the whole time that we were in together, he always was talking about Miami and how it reminded him of his hometown, Thessaloniki, and Greece in general, and that he had always wanted to live there. So I was like, you know what, if this man gets to live in his dream place, whatever. She's like, okay, so what are you going to do? I'm like, here's the deal. He wants to give me this much. I want this much. I want to find out what his salary is so that I can ask for the correct amount that is owed to me. And I also want him to take care of the apartment, my moving expenses, the dogs, and for 2 years, $6,000 a month. I want to be able to negotiate a really good package for myself so that way I can also be safe and I will be okay, because we were relying a lot on Taki's salary at the time that we were together, because I was modeling and acting and everything and doing like all that. But as you know, the industry is a work by work basis. And so I had been living a life that I was accustomed to that was based off of his monthly salary. I tell her that I am going to get our friend's sister, who is the therapist and mediator, to try to help mediate a deal because I didn't necessarily want to pay for a lawyer. And she was like, that makes sense. So she was like, are you going to talk to her? And I was like, yeah. So me and Maddie came up with the notes, and she helped me so much with being able to understand all the legal jargon because she was a businesswoman and knowing exactly what it was that I could ask for in my rights. And then she was like, I'm also going to try to scheme with Dee to try to ask around the city, find out exactly what his salary might be, so that way you can also proceed accordingly. I'm like, my queen, let's do it. Let's go. Y'all, she is my number one girl for a reason. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling like I have a plan. Getting to knowing what my budget is going to be for the apartment. So that was also going to depend on the alimony that I was going to be getting from Takis. And I was really hoping that I was going to be able to just come out with a deal where it was like a paper deal where he would just write and sign how much he was going to send me rather than, like I said, going to court. So I was trying to balance everything together with the expenses that I had, the dogs, my living expenses, the moving expenses, budgeting that with the alimony he would give me, the money that I already had and the savings that I had, and then also packing and figuring out where it was that I was going to live, because I really wasn't sure what was going to be within my budget. So I was trying to scale down as much as I could so that I could be under budget, so that way I was covered either way. But the apartment that Takis and I lived in Hollywood was huge, y'all. It was huge, 2 stories, 2 bedrooms. It had the loft upstairs that had a big ass kitchen and 2 balconies. And I was like really used to having this nice big ass place, but I was realizing I was probably gonna have to scale down, which was fine because I didn't really need a lot of room. And I also was going to have to figure out what to do with the dogs, because I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to handle 2 dogs on my own, and I didn't know if Takis was going to want one of them, so that was also a pin that I needed to figure out. I'm doing all this work. I call my friend's sister. We're going to call her Anna, and Anna was this amazing woman. She used to have her own law practice, and then she became a full licensed therapist, and she was just a very smart with it woman. She was a little bit older, and she had her own kids that were a little bit younger than me, and she just knew Takis and I well, but wasn't close enough with us like her brother, who was one of my best friends, to where she was going to be not able to be neutral ground. I go over everything with her. I give her the notes on Takis, and she's like, okay, great. I'm going to review all this, and I'm going to come back, and then we can figure out a day when I can mediate with the 2 of you. It might have to be on Zoom because she lives in Redondo Beach, and I was obviously in Hollywood, and Takis was in Brentwood, and then we'll figure it out. But she was like down to help, and it was really great because she was going to do it for free and just help me out because I was a friend of the family's. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling like, okay, things are happening. Things are getting better. Takis texted me. I coordinated with him. I was like, all right, Anna's going to do this. She's going to help us out. So these are the days that we can meet. And he was like, okay, I'm going to check my schedule and I'm going to figure out when we can meet. This was the most cordial conversation, right, through text that me and Takis had at this point. I don't know what he's been doing. I don't know where he's been going. I don't know what meetings he's been doing, but I know that I have my people working on the back end, figuring out what his salary is going to be. I have my people working on the front end who's going to mediate and help me out. And at the end of the day, Anna was more on my side because, let's be honest, everybody was, because they knew he was in the wrong. I'm getting texts from Shane. Shane's like, hey, I have a friend's birthday party that is at a comedy club tomorrow, and I was wondering if you would want to be my date to it. And I was like, yeah, okay, Shane. Even though I had gotten a little bit of a red flag, like I said before, and he had showed up at my house, which I didn't love either, I was like, okay, look, I am going to lean into the lore. Like, I'm finally single, and I am going to lean to experiences. I am going to see how I can be treated by other men, and I am just going to do things and say yes, because I have been trapped in this marriage for the past few years where I haven't been able to just be my independent free self. And now it's like the time for me to embrace my womanhood and really see what it is that I want in life. So I was like, yes, King, let's do it. The day of the comedy show arrives, right? He's like, I'm going to come pick you up, and then we'll head over there. I'll pick you up in the Jeep at 8 p.m. and then we're going to go to the comedy club. He comes and picks me up, and I'm wearing these low-rise jeans, a little bit baggy that had like this red stripe on it, and a white crop top, and I had my hair back in a little ribbon. And he pulled up in a black polo and some jeans, and his hair was like looking very floppy. Actually, it was more like floppy in the front, and I love a little wisp in the front, you guys, and some dark jeans and his signature combat boots. I hop into his Jeep with him, and he's like, I'm so happy to see you. Like, I can't stop thinking about you. I really wanted to see you this morning. Like, sorry, I just came and showed up like unannounced, but I just really wanted to see you, and you just live 2 streets down. I'm like, that's okay, but next time, just like text me before, because I feel bad that you're waiting outside and stuff like that. And he's like, yeah, no worries. And he's like, it's not like you had a guy up there, right? Ha ha ha. I'm like, right, sir, that is not my man, so that should not be your concern. We roll up to the comedy club. He's like, oh, this is my friend, we'll call him Dustin's birthday, and he is dating one of the comedians that is going to be performing. She's like pretty popular, and she's really funny. You'll like her. You're going to meet a couple of my friends. Like, it'll be a good time. Like, great. We go in. It's the whole like 2-drink minimum thing. You sit down. It's dark as hell. There's rows and rows of seats. It's super dark. You walk in, and then the comedians are there. we're there and we're, you know, sitting through like some really, really terrible comedians that I'm like, really? Is this a crew you wanted? And then some actually very funny comedians, which I'm just like, you will go places. You will go places, sir or madam. His friend's girlfriend goes up. So the way that we're sitting is the walking entrance is here. There's all these stands of seats here and here on this side. We're sitting on the inside right here. There's like 2 people on the outside here. We're both sitting here and his friend Dustin is on the other side and a couple of his other friends that I'd met are over here. While we're sitting there, we're laughing. I hear more people coming in. There was just people coming in and out like during the show that were being really quiet, that were kind of sneaking in. He's sitting there with me and I see him kind of look over and I look over as well. And when I look over, I see these 2 girls walk in. They look at us and the one girl, the way that she looks at us, right? She's got long dark hair. She's pretty tall. And I remember she was wearing a denim jacket and denim jeans, like she was wearing a Canadian tuxedo. And she looks at Shane and then looks at me and then looks like she is going to jump across the crowd and bash her heads in. And immediately I look at him and I realize and I know deep in my soul and in my intuition that that is his ex-girlfriend. And I'm like, shit. She looks at us like she has seen the most disgusting, vile people she's ever seen. She goes, she waves at the friends that are over here, and then she goes and sits. We're here. Dustin's here. Their friends are here. She goes and sits over here, like on the corner. I look at Shane, and I'm like, are you okay? And he goes, shit. And I'm like, what? And he's like, that's my ex-girlfriend. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, we should leave. I'm like, wait, what? And he was like, actually, you know what? Maybe we should just move seats. I'm like, dude, it's like packed and we're literally in the middle of the show. Like we're whispering, right? I'm like, we can't just move. And he's like, fuck, I'm so sorry. Like, this is going to be really awkward. But like, as soon as the show wraps, like, we'll just say bye to my friends and then we'll dip out. He's like, I want to avoid her. And I'm like, don't you live with her? Like, didn't you just see her? Did you not know she was going to be here? And he was like, she told me that she was going to be at our other friend's birthday. And so that she wasn't going to come here. We have a lot of the same friends, but we decided that at the split up, if there were different friend events, that we would choose who would go to each one. So that way we didn't run each other and it wouldn't be awkward. I'm like, right, because you guys live together and that's not awkward. And he's like, yeah, so she was going to go to our other friend's birthday. I was going to be here at this birthday, but for some reason she's here. I'm like, don't you think she showed up because she knew that you were here and that you were going to probably be with a girl? And he's like, I don't know. His leg is tapping and he is stressed. And his hand had been on my leg previously. As soon as she walked in, his hand got off of my leg and he acted like he did not know me, y'all. The show ends. As soon as the lights start to go up, he is ushering my ass out, y'all. He is hustling me out. We walk out. It's bright ass lights and there's other people filing out. And he's like looking on his phone to check the time. And then he's like, okay, let's cross the street. It's a busy ass street. It's Sunset Boulevard and we have to cross. He's like, okay, let's cross to go to the car because it's across the way. We're about to cross and I just hear, Shane. I turn around and there she is, Miss Cheyenne in all her Canadian tuxedo glory. And she is with her friend and her friends are looking at me like I am the harlot that stole her man. I'm like, shit. And Shane goes, hey. And she was like, who's this? And I go, hi, I'm Kat. It's really nice to meet you. I put my hand out. She looks at my hand, y'all, like I was handing her a dead ass animal. And she goes, are you kidding me right now? And he was like, look, I'm really sorry. This isn't what it looks like. Like, we're just friends, blah, blah, blah. She looks at me and she's like, is this true? And I'm like, do not put me in this spot. But you know what? At the end of the day, y'all, like, I'm a girl's girl and a girl's got to know the truth, even though she's attacking me. And I was like, no, we're on a date. And he's like, no, we're not. And she goes, have you guys kissed? He looks at me like, please don't say anything. I look at him like, brother, the jig is up. Okay? These men, the jig is up. And I just look at her and I said, yeah. And she lets out this guttural scream, like, ah! There's all these crowds of people around. So like some people look at her, but it is loud out there. She turns to me. She charges at me. Y'all, I am a girl's girl. But when a girl attacks me, so yes, episode 29, y'all. What happens with Cheyenne? What's going on with Shane? Are they really together? And my mediation with Talkies. I love you and I see you. Big hug, big kiss. You see all this tomfoolery and these like crazy ass men were around me and I got through this, y'all. So just a reminder that if you are dealing with some crazy mofos, you will be fine too. I promise you. Just focus on yourself. Love you.